Germany finally has a new government. Well, almost. After the latest coalition talks, joining me from our German bureau is Matthew Karnitschnig to discuss the outcome. Matthew, is this now a done deal?
Not quite. It's almost done. It's going to take another couple of weeks before we will know for sure whether this is going to happen the way that they have decided overnight, but it looks like it will. Right now, both parties seem to be pretty happy with the result, and it's up to the SPD now, the Social Democrats, to go to their members and convince them that they should vote in favor of this agreement, because for the first time, you're going to have the SPD base, basically 470,000 members of the party, get to vote on the agreement.
Now, some of the compromises that they seem to have reached look as though they go back on some of the reforms that Germany's made in the last few years. Can the coalition afford its new promises, do you think?
That's really the central question here, and I think it'll be some time before we know how far they're going to roll back the so-called Agenda 2010, which is this package of reforms that you're referring to. Certainly the introduction of a minimum wage is a step in the wrong direction in the view of many people in the business community in particular. But there are a lot of exceptions that have been added to that agreement over the minimum wage. It's going to take a couple of years before it fully comes into effect. So it's not totally clear at this point what impact that will have, and if the impact will be that detrimental to the German economy, as some people are saying now. What is clear, though, is that there is not a lot of economic reforms in this coalition agreement, which is what a lot of economists are saying Germany really needs now. They're in the sense that Germany's been resting on its laurels a bit for the past several years and sort of living off of the momentum that it created almost a decade ago through the Agenda 2010 reforms, and that they haven't done much since. So that's really more the danger, I think, is that there'll be a bit of stasis here over the next several years if this government lasts the full 4-year term.
Well, that's an interesting point you make, because, of course, there's a growing debate in Europe. I mean, some people blame Germany almost, saying that its frugality has kind of contributed to the European economy's problems. Is there any sign that that might change under this new coalition?
I don't think so. I think that is something that is really much more a mentality issue, if you will, and if anything, there are signs that they don't want to overspend. It's not clear how they're going to pay for all of the programs that they have outlined in their agreement today. But on the other hand, we're not talking about massive spending programs. We're talking about an additional 20 billion euros in spending, which in an economy of almost 3 trillion euros is not that significant. But in the context of the German debate, where they're really sort of against any additional spending and any sort of budget deficits, they make a big deal out of it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I guess it's a relief for you to finally have a government over there at least.